Hello everyone, it's Richard here again. I want to talk to you about mass delusion, which is a topic which has been concerning me for some time. Or delusion in general, but mass delusion is a serious issue. And because it's mass, it's dangerous. I've been prompted to do this by the Israeli action in Gaza. There's accounts of IDF soldiers killing children and women, or doing other nasty things and thinking it's okay and justifying it and eliminating threats and so forth. They're clearly bonkers, but they don't see it that way. And it's because I don't know how people get like this quite, but it's got a lot to do with groups and the need to belong. It's a very strong drive. You see, it's got an evolutionary core to it all. It's instinctive. This need to belong to groups, to act in groups, to belong, to be with other people, in teams, in families, in tribes or communities. Very, very strong drive indeed. It's because we're social animals. We need to work together to succeed. That's how we got along in evolutionary terms. It was one factor. So yeah, how does this actually occur? I think it's I studied the kind of mechanism of mind for a long time, and psychology in general for quite a while, about perception and so on. It's a really important science, and I wish it was taught more in schools. I really do, because it's so important. How we think, how we decide things, how we recall or not notice things, it's so important, because it drives everything we do. But it's not taught in schools, or it's not encouraged anyway, really. So you get a situation where people might become, say, religious nutters. I don't wish it's quite all religion, of course, but it does have its debatable aspects. Largely lack of evidence for anything good in it, anything benign. So I have cases of people had their hands checked off or tortured or whatever. Blinded, as people do all kinds of nasty things during the Middle Ages because they weren't religious enough, didn't go to church or questioned the church in some way, excommunicated or tortured or hung or all kinds of things, really nasty, burned at the stake, horrific things. And it's all because these groups get together, and because they're all unaware of the consequences of their actions, or they don't see that someone burning at a stake was screaming in immense pain. They seem to enjoy it. Yeah, another bastard gone, another witch dead. And somehow they just blind themselves to the suffering. Like homelessness, I touched on before. People just walk by and they ignore it because it's normal now. Happens everywhere. Mass thing. All the people like me can't be wrong, can they? Sorry. So all these people just can't be wrong. So many of them just can't be wrong. All these people just can't be wrong. Not all of them, surely. They can. They can be wrong. The narcissist showed us that. I saw a video recently I've seen before, but it's one you may have known about. It's early days of the Nazi rise of power, Hitler being paraded in a car, and enthusiastic crowds of people waving at him, cheering him on. And they weren't Nazi stooges. They might have been invited there or encouraged to be there, sure, but they were really, really enthusiastic. Yeah, we've got a strong leader now. He's going to save us, save Germany, make us great again. Had children waving little Nazi swastika flags, cheering him on. Absolutely delighted to have Hitler in charge. And no doubt when the Jews' businesses were being targeted and shops were blocked and banned and stopped from trading and so forth, and they were thrown out or abused or beaten or whatever, and that's as people looked on and did nothing, or very little. Still had a fear, of course. You think about if I do something, nobody will be with me, nobody will support me, so I'll get clobbered. So this is the kind of thing that goes on. As I said before, I attended some communion classes. I wasn't really Christian myself, but I attended those classes to find out what went on. And I was high-fived by one girl I knew who was just clearly very reluctant to go through this bollocks. It's just nonsense. She clearly had her doubts. Yeah, she's persuaded to go ahead anyway, because otherwise you don't get in. You either believe in the bullshit or you don't join. That's it. Same with the political party. As Phil Morehouse or a different bias pointed out recently, you're going to join a vice party. You have to agree to be accept loss of sovereignty or whatever. You accept collective responsibility, which is like you sacrifice your integrity, your honour, your honesty, just to join a party and have some power. So the promise: join a party, join a group, you get stronger, you get supported, you get emotional support, you get to be someone, you get to be something, rather than just a nobody on their own. And it's really quite a really strong force that ruins people's lives because they're unaware of it. They even celebrate being in groups like nutters like football fans, who bash the hell out of the opposite team, fans. Or blue against red. You can't be both, can you? That's not possible. Nah, it can't be red. Can't be blue and red. Who can do that? This is insane behaviour. It's just bonkers. Even scientists can be groupies. They have their own kind of limitations, as I pointed out in a different video. This group madness is quite shocking, really. And you get to people, point of people to deny reality. They're so delusional. They won't listen to people like me who point out these kind of self-evident facts which they don't want to acknowledge. I'm not trying to browbeat them, but my technique is when I talk to people, is to point out things which we all know to be true and how that contradicts their stance. And they don't like it. They don't like it at all. But they can't deny it. That's the problem. They get really challenged. And sometimes they wake up and see the light as well, but other times just defend their decision, dig in the heels, fight back, bite back. Yeah, it's insane. And it's this kind of psychology is known about. I first heard about it via a book called The Hidden Persuaders by Vince Packard. Because I was told about that at the grammar school I went to, especially an English teacher was very good. There, Mr. Cooper, excellent guy. And part of this is about simple abuse of mental mechanisms. Like repetition is necessary for survival. We have to learn things by repeating them, and real things get repeated, typically. Like you see a body of water somewhere, and he's got fish in it and so forth, so there's a food source, so it's associated water, food source and so forth, and this gets repeated, so reality is repetitive, because real is probably going to be long-lasting and or at least frequently occurring like rain. So your mind keeps getting these things time and time again. Oh, that's real. Okay, repetition is real. That's the basic message the brain gets, I believe. Which is why we have repetition in school, rote learning in schools, like repeat 2 plus 2 equals 4, 3 plus 3 equals 6, whatever. And it's just basic repetition, because it works. And advertisers know this. They repeat the message time after time after time after time. Peak hours, peak viewing hours, when people at home just got back from work, feeling dozy and tired, a bit sleepy, not really awake, not really aware, just had a meal, just cocked out on the sofa, watching the bad news, out with the advertising, and they get the message, by Daz or whatever. And this kind of mental abuse goes on all the time. Once you're aware of it, you see it everywhere. It's just the extent is quite shocking. Just how much of lying there is around everywhere. There's so many lies these days. Don't know some people don't know who to trust. But because of that reason, and because they haven't been taught science properly, they trust religion, which is not based on anything sound really, that I know of. I'm not denying God by any means, but the actual religion is the actual belief in a particular good God. It's a bit odd. And especially when you do bad things in the name of this good God. It's very odd, very, very odd. Yeah, these things happen, as we all know. You can probably think of plenty of examples with your own lives. This kind of insanity is mass insanity. It's all down to the need to belong. This instinctive, habitual need to be with the people, to join a club or something, or be a manager, be in the management team, or be in a political party, to actually, be something bigger than yourself, to be supported and so forth. People who share your own views to a large extent, and feel safe and supported, because if anyone attacks you, you can call on the other members of the group to support you, to defend you. But it gets really, really extreme on occasion. I spoke about this before, as have others, but the Jonestown Massacre is a good example. I think about 30 couples were misled by this charismatic preacher guy, born again nutter, all convinced that if they killed themselves they'd all go to heaven and have a nice life. So they gave some poison in Kool-Aid, I think, apparently, to their children. I think it was strychnine. Not sure, I think it was. And, kill them. Say bye-bye, see you later. And the parents kill themselves. And the entire group of these nutters just all kill themselves. Mass suicide. And you think, what on earth is that about? But then you see the IDF as another example of just insane evil in action. People, men in particular, but also women, just committing horrendous, just awful, atrocious, criminal acts, all in the name of some god or some belief or some conviction that they're doing the right thing, or protecting their territories, or defending themselves, or saving their traditional beliefs or their way of lives. Very, very common. And I think the way to guard against it, I'm getting towards this conclusion. If you don't do science of some kind, you don't ever study science of some kind, you will then be prone to delusion. You either join some religious group, or something like that, like a cult. Like many Tories now are in a cult. They're mad. As I say, if you don't actually do science, you end up with some kind of delusion. Even scientists commit mistakes. They try to have systems to avoid that, but they know these things can happen. So if you don't do science, you tend to be cultist in nature, and then do daft things. like I said, some of the toys that business people I expect to do, they like tax cuts, but these cuts don't actually result in much investment or new business or anything dynamic happening at all. No. So one guy bought a new laptop, I think two stuff that made towards a pension. Yeah, the only investment was a new laptop really, which may have made a difference of course, but not a huge one. This whole idea of tax cuts being good for the economy is just a myth. Total myth, total bollocks. And yet they still believe it and don't see the consequences of other actions of reduced tax revenues, resulting in less spending on services like council and so forth. And it doesn't take much digging around to find that out. But they didn't know it, didn't get it, didn't see how these short-term thinking on their part could lead to long-term disaster for them as well as others. Because you cut services, you cut funding to education and so forth, you get a poor workforce, and so you get fewer staff to choose from, especially if you leave the EU. So, and I've also spoken to people who actually decided to leave the EU and voted to leave, and they knew nothing about the EU, hardly anything. Just knew there's some bad lies and were told, well, if you do this, you'll get better life. And they believed the bullshit, obviously, because they voted for it. Voted for their own demise. Shooting themselves and the entire country lived in 2 feet, both feet. Just utter madness. And it's so widespread. I don't wish how arrogant I suppose I might do, but you see many cases of people just utterly bloody bonkers. It's just shocking. And because people don't do science, don't do psychology, don't do know thyself very well at all, if ever, they make mistakes, they don't know why they're mistakes, don't see their own biases, don't know the problems about group thinking, group delusion, group insanity, just don't know them, and therefore don't think about them, and therefore don't see the problems. It really is quite disturbing. So, I make these videos in the hope that people will become more alert and aware. More woke, perhaps. And as to why anyone would want it to be less woke, as they put it, is a mystery. Why do you want people to be less aware of social issues, or slavery, or anything like that? Why would you want less awareness of that, as they do? Doesn't that sound odd? Want people less awake, more dozy, easier to manipulate, easier to mislead, keep drinking the Kool-Aid. And now climate change. The greatest threat we've ever had to the entire world, ever had, including nuclear warfare. And it's happening, people, it's happening. And very few people are told to know anything about it. Just what's going on there. How do you have a government like ours justify opening new oil and gas fields at a time of climate crisis? How can they damn and suppress protesters as what is a real threat to us all? Just what kind of madness is that? Is it delusion or something more, something worse? So what do I conclude with? I think this is a really serious issue. You know, how we can con ourselves and lie to ourselves, and be delusional and think black is white and, you know, chalk is cheese, whatever. And act upon those beliefs. And ignore the evidence of our own senses. That happens too. People ignore the evidence of their own senses in favour of their beliefs, because their beliefs are so strong, so sacred to them, they dare not ever challenge them. Because if they do that, they might get ejected from whatever group they belong to. And they can't stand that. So they won't ever question their beliefs, to the point of ignoring their own senses, their own ears, their own eyes, just ignoring them, because the evidence doesn't fit with their beliefs. Too challenging for them. Too scary. And again, the solution comes back to education, as always. It's been so poor in this country. I just can't believe how bad it's been. Many people are just utterly, incredibly ignorant. Just bamboozled. Believing in bullshit. Utter nutters. All massed together. And therefore don't get their nutters, because they're all the same. And therefore must be correct. It's very, very simplistic, basic thinking, if they think at all. And very dangerous. So the way to tackle it is education, and get the agenda set correctly to include the really important things, like knowing about psychology and bias and drives, and how people can mislead you, how advertising works, how I suppose hypnosis works. I've done that too as well, like NLP. And you need to know this stuff. You need to know to defend yourself against it. And most people don't know at all. So we end up with just a crazy, mad world, which is so normal these days that people just don't get how fucking bonkers it is. They don't see it, don't want to know, don't care, and then kill in the name of some god or some need to defend themselves against some imagined threat.